on to item 4, which is the same distinguished gentleman for an upgrade for Mr. Hardy on the District Government Affairs.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Warren Hardy, Hardy Consulting Group. I wanted to come tonight because Aaron had asked that I put together a research project for the district, which I did with the help, with significant help from the Legislative Council Bureau. And he had indicated there might be a board question, a board member might have a question on it, or something additional that he wanted me to look into. And so that was one of the two reasons I wanted to make myself available tonight in case there were any questions or additional research the board would like on that matter. And the second thing I wanted to do was bring, and I will be sending a memo to general manager on this, but it's time to start thinking about the next legislative session. I know it's a year away, but I think in the next 60 days we probably ought to have our arms around any additional legislation we want to pursue. So I just wanted to give notice to the board and to the staff that if there's anything we need to look at, I always encourage you to look outside the box. One of the things that's sort of interesting in my business is I hear people say all the time, no, we can't really do that because the state law says otherwise. Well, if that were true, I wouldn't have a job, right? We've got to be able to change the state laws when they don't fit our needs. So think outside the box. If there's anything from the staff level or a board level or a public level that you think needs to be addressed and, through a change in the statutes involving not only the charter, but anything related to water law in the state, bring it to my attention. Let's talk about it. And certainly, as you know, I always recommend we go forward with a vote of the board to support the full agenda that we pursue. It's always easier in Carson City when that happens. But I do think it's time to start thinking about that. And I will be sending a memo to that effect so that there'll be another little reminder on it. I'd like to come back next month and try to put meat on those bones, so to speak, if we can, if there's anything we want to do in terms of a charter change or anything else. So with that, that's the reason I wanted to make myself available tonight. If there aren't any questions about the research project or additional information that's needed, I'll just move on and know that you've got my cell number if anything comes up that you want in addition. I know there were some questions about the election cycle and how that all worked that I think got resolved, but I'll make myself available if there's any questions.
Okay, thank you. Mrs. Ellis.
Could you give us the status on the Virgin River Habitat Conservation and Recovery Plan?
I knew that was coming.
We should have known that.
I'm pleased to announce from my perspective, I've sort of stepped back from that a little bit. I'm still attending the meetings. We've got another meeting next week on that. But I'm very pleased to report that Aaron and John Willis from the city, I think, are doing a fantastic job on that. My job was to sort of set up the parameters and help the county and the water district and the Southern Nevada Water Authority sort of understand what our objectives are. And I continue to check in with Aaron and John to make sure that they're not being bumped off of that, which they're not. And I think they're doing a great job on it. I think we're moving. Any delay, I don't think, is on our part. Would that be fair, Aaron? I think we're providing what needs to be provided and doing the things that need to be done, which was also our objective, because we don't want the BLM getting upset about any delays. But we're responding in a timely manner. We're still on target for all the things we talked about wanting to achieve. And I have to give a lot of credit to Aaron and John for, they've got a lot of respect among the agencies we're dealing with, and they're doing a fantastic job.
Does it still look like it's going to be 2015?
Well, probably. But again, that's probably not on our end, and we're doing what we can to expedite that. But I mean, I think that's probably just the time frame that the bureaucracy rolls along.
Because the city of Mesquite is still charging $500 per acre in addition to the Clark County fee of $550 an acre, as long as that's in effect.
I don't think they have much choice on that.
They don't have any choice on that. So it's incumbent to hurry up and get that done a lot sooner than 2015 so that the developers in Mesquite get an even break with the rest of the developers in the rest of Clark County.
I would certainly agree with that. We'll continue to push. We'll continue to push as aggressively as we can. It is a little bit frustrating, I can say.
Mr. Muller.
Oh, how close are we to submitting the plan to Clark County or Fish and Wildlife? I don't know where it goes first. Does it go to Fish and Wildlife first?
The draft is pretty much complete, isn't it, Aaron?
In the original draft, they're updating that to the new items that have been discussed, combining, pulling out the tortoise from
The
Clark
tortoise is
County,
one.
and so that's the process in itself. And so they're just updating the prior documents, just update it to what the new expectations are. So that's this next meeting. They're going through it systematically, each chapter, and trying to update it. And so I think we're, I don't know what chapter 6 and chapter 5 right now. 5 and 6. And so that's the process that we're in right now.
So we only have 7 chapters to go? Or 7 chapters total,
Well,
I mean?
and I think they may move a little quicker now, because one of the big things was, of course, as you know, deciding which species we're impacting.
Right.
And I think we're finally sort of over that hump where we're not impacting the species that we told them we weren't impacting, and I think they've sort of acknowledged that now. So,
Is the recovery dropped out of it?
is what?
Recovery. Has
Oh,
that,
yeah.
has that dropped out?
That was one of the original things that I was involved in, was making sure that it became a habitat plan and not a habitat recovery plan,
Right.
because of the expense associated with recovery. And that, I don't think there's any further discussion of that. That's been agreed to, and we're moving on.
Is that,
And that wasn't in my last report, by the way.
Yeah.
We hadn't
That's right.
received that yet. I think that's been agreed to now, that the recovery part. At least there's been no more discussion about it that I'm aware of. They sort of said, okay, and moved on.
the primary approval comes from Fish and Wildlife on this, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
And does the Clark County Habitat Group, do they have any say in what's going on?
Oh, I think so. And the various groups that are in our working group have a pretty good understanding of what they'll accept and what they won't accept. And we've got a great,
But we're just basically breaking off of that group though completely, so the Clark County.
Yeah, but they have a pretty good feel, and they have a bit of a, they have some skin in the game too, because, if we don't, then they're still gonna be a part of our group, or we're gonna still be part of their group. So we've got good I think I've got good cooperation from them. It's just sort of the way the wheels of the bureaucracy work.
But Fish and Wildlife is the primary approval agency.
That's the final approval, right? The BLM
Does the BLM have
has
some input or just?
has input, but it's Fish and Wildlife that has the final.
Fish and Wildlife has the final input or approval on it because of the take permits.
I mean, it stems from the Mesquite Land Act is what required it. So that was
Right.
a sell from BLM.
That's
And
where BLM comes in.
correct.
But the take permits are the driver, and so that's Fish and Wildlife.
From Fish and Wildlife.
Yeah, and I'm continuing to attend the meeting just in case there's anything that's needed on a little push politically. But again, I think staff has done a great job on it and moving us down that road as quickly as they can. And we're mindful of the fact that we need to get it done quickly. I think we bring that to their attention every time, wanting to make sure we're not causing any kind of delays.
Okay,
Thank you.
very much.
Thank you.
Mark.
I appreciate your
remember
input. Thank you.